Hey YouTube, guess what I got? That's right, a brand new Midland GMRS two-way radio. Now you might ask why GMRS, and I did the same thing. I kind of went down the radio rabbit hole and basically what I found out is GMRS has a longer range than a CB radio or an FRS radio. Now I like to go backcountry camping, so there's no cell service. Very few people usually, and so it just made sense to get something with the longest range that I could find. And of course there are radios that have a longer range, like a ham radio, but that was a little overkill for me. Now with the GMRS radio, you do have to have an operator's license. No big deal. It's a simple application with the FCC. You send them a $70 check and they'll send you a license with your very own call letters, and how cool is that? So anyway, today we're going to install it in the Jeep, and you know, I've never done this before, so hang with me. We'll get it done, and it's either going to be easy or it's not, but we'll find out. So thanks for coming along with me, and we're going to learn something. So I chose the model MXT 275 from Midland. And the reason for that is because it has a pretty small head unit. Looked like it would probably fit just about anywhere, and all the controls are on the microphone, so that you have your volume control and your channel controls. So basically you can put the head unit anywhere you want to. That appeals to me because there's not all that much room in a Jeep, and I kind of wanted it out of sight anyway. So after looking at all the options to install, I decided to install it under the passenger seat. I think it's going to be a fairly easy install, and there's actually a bracket under there that this will mount to. Now it may not be the case on every Jeep, simply because mine doesn't have power seats. If you have power seats, that bracket may be used to hold the motor. I don't know, but at any rate, it may not work in your Jeep. But that's where I'm going to put it, and so let's get started. Okay, the first thing we've got to do is pull the seat out. And it's just as simple as taking out 4 bolts that are using an 18mm socket. They're in there pretty tight, so you can get them out with a ratchet, but I have an impact wrench, and I would suggest you use one as well. It'll make things go a whole lot faster. So the first thing you're going to see is that we've got this connector here that needs to be taken apart, and it's pretty easy. I believe we just pull this up here like that and push on that, maybe, and it comes apart. All right, voila, there we go. So that has everything disconnected on the seat. We can go ahead and tilt it back a little bit farther. Now here's the bracket that I was telling you about. Like I said, I don't know, it may have something to do with the motorized adjustment on the seat, but at any rate, that's where we're going to mount it. So hang on, and I'm going to get the head unit, and we'll just put it on. Okay, you don't usually get this lucky, but there's actually a little tab right here that will slide into the slot right here of the bracket. Or actually, we might want to turn it around this way. And it will fit right up in there like that. And yeah, I mean, like it was made to be there. But anyway, I think all we'll need to do is drill a pilot hole through here and run a screw in there, and it should work out just real good. After looking at this, I decided to go ahead and drill an extra hole over here instead of using the center bracket hole that was already there. I think it's just going to spread out the load a little bit and make it a little bit more substantial under there. You've always got to take into consideration that there's an awful lot of vibration going on. So there we have it. So the wiring harness they send with this is yeah, it's just not very long. It's really designed to plug into the 12-volt cigarette lighter outlet, but my cigarette lighter outlet is already full, so plus it's just wouldn't make a very clean installation. All right, so basically I just cut the cigarette lighter plug off the end, made a new wiring harness, went ahead and used crimp connectors to connect it to some 14 gauge wire that I had, and now we're going to go ahead and see if we can't fish it through the firewall. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. We're going to run the wire underneath the console here, across here, and let's see if we can't work it underneath the console back here and take it all the way across. Okay, I'm thinking it's probably not going to be a bad idea to leave this fuse holder somewhere where we can find it, just in case the fuse blows. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it there and put a zip tie and stick this up underneath here. And I think it probably, let's go ahead and just tuck this wire up underneath there. I don't think it'll hurt anything. Be out of the way. You don't have a whole lot of excess wire. Okay, let's cut this off and start working this up underneath here, which isn't really that big of a problem. And, oh, there we go. Not too bad. All right. Go ahead and gently push that up under there so we don't see it. All that up under there. And there you go. All right. So I got a piece of coat hanger wire and taped the end of the wire to it. So I'm going to use it to fish it through the back of the console there. So fingers crossed, maybe it'll work. Okay, you want to be careful. I don't know that there's anything that you might short out back there, but you never know. Well, that was nearly too easy. So it's already out on the other side, and we'll just pull it through. Okay, well, there it is. We'll just pull that right on through. And looks like we've got plenty to go through the firewall and under the hood, so very good. Now the firewall grommet where you want to run your wire out is located just right of the master cylinder of the brakes. And if you'll notice right down here, you can see there's a tube that's running out and a lot of cables and wires. And yes, I've put every one of those in there, but I think we've still got room to go ahead and run our power wires through there, and then I'm going to go ahead and run it up to the S-pod. All right, so I was able to get the power wire through the firewall, and now we're just going to go ahead and bring it on over here and hook it up to the S-pod, and we're getting pretty close. So I think I told you I'm kind of a neat freak, so I'm going to go ahead and take this wire conduit and put it over the wire before I run it to the S-pod, and before I hook it up, it'll make it just a little bit easier. Now, you've heard me mention the S-pod several times, and most of you probably know what an S-pod is, but if you don't, it's a power distribution device that's electronically controlled. It actually fuses everything for you. It has circuit breakers, and it has a little control panel up on the inside of the cab where on this particular one I can control up to 6 different devices from that control pad. That means you don't have but one master set of wires running directly to your battery. It also will keep your battery from running down. So if you have auxiliary lights on and your engine's not running, well, before the battery gets so low that it won't start the engine, it'll go ahead and shut those lights off. So it's pretty smart, and it has made things a whole lot easier for me because, you know, I've kind of told you I'm a neat freak, and so I really don't like a whole bunch of wires running, exposed wires running underneath the hood. So this way, everything runs to that little box, and it just makes it nice and neat, and it works really well, and it's just kind of cool. All right. So you have these really nice terminals where you can just bring everything up through there and hook it on with the terminals, and it's just really no fuss. Works great. So I went ahead and installed some spade terminals so that we could go ahead and hook this up to the S-Pod, and probably goes without saying, but it's not a bad idea to go ahead and disconnect the negative terminal of your battery so you don't have any nasty surprises. Okay, there we go. So there you go. There's your underhood tied down, tidied up, electrical installation. So earlier I think I told you that I bought this as a kit, and in that kit came an extension for the microphone. So like I said, you could have mounted the head unit in the back of the Jeep if you want to, and this would extend the microphone and all the controls to the front. It also came with a 3 dB gain antenna and the wire to put that in, and then a nifty little bracket that will mount on my roof rack to hold the antenna. So since we're wiring, I think it's probably a really good idea to go ahead and we'll just run the antenna wire. Okay, you're going to want to take this little panel off. It's really easy if you just get something underneath it like a knife blade or something, get it started, then you can just pop it right off. And behind here is a little foam filled hole, and supposedly you can not necessarily get through the firewall, but I don't necessarily need to go through the firewall, but it will take it to the outside of the Jeep. All right, I've fished the coat hanger through the hole that I made with the screwdriver, and we're just going to push it all the way through, and hopefully it'll come out on the other side so that we can tape the antenna wire to the end of it and then pull it back through this way. And looky there, there it is. And we're going to fish the wire through here, which I've already tested and I can do, and we're going to bring it out right about here, so that I can run it up behind this snorkel, and then we can just go ahead and zip tie it to the mast of the roof. My next concern was how to get this big fitting through that little hole. I mean, it might have made it, but most likely not. But look what I found. This will actually screw off. Doesn't mess up anything, leaves a nice little end like this. Shouldn't have any problem routing that through there, so thank goodness for small favors. In order to fish it through that panel gap, you have to open the door and come in this way, and hopefully it'll quit binding and go on through. But no, there it goes. Okay, and that should just come out right over here. And there it is. So after fishing it through this panel gap, what I want to do is I just want to slide it right on through there. There's enough room, and then we're going to run it up through here. And I think now would probably be a really good time to do that so that we'll know exactly how much of the wire we need and where we're going to put the antenna. So I'm going to push it on up through here, and we're going to see if we can make this work. So Midland sent me this nifty antenna bracket, and I'm going to mount it right up here. So I went ahead and loosely mounted the bracket up here. I'm not going to tighten it down until I've got the antenna on it and just make sure I have it exactly where I want it. All right, because I've had to run this wire twice through the panel joint here, it's probably a really good idea to go ahead, run your wire from the top down where you want it, and then run it through the panel gap. Should work a whole lot better. After you have your antenna cable routed, mounted and where you want it, now you can go ahead and let's run it through the firewall. So we'll tape this on here like this and just drag it through. All right, let's pull it through. And here we are. So what I've done is I've run the wire back behind the door wiring harness and back to this kick panel down here. And I think we're going to be able to just work that wire underneath the kick panel and bring it around here like this. Bring it along there and there and there, and then run it back underneath the carpet here to take it under the seat. We'll see if it works. All right, it looks like this is going to work just fine. Might have to coerce it a little bit with a screwdriver to lift it up and get your wire into there, but it really is not that big a deal. I think it's going to work great. Okay, I've managed to work the wire underneath the threshold of the door here, so there is a break in the carpet right here. I think what we're going to do is just run that wire right under there and hide it down through there and take it up under the seat and hook it up to the head unit. And voila, there it is. That doesn't look bad at all. So we can just go ahead and tie up all that extra antenna cable underneath the seat and go ahead and screw it into the back of the head unit, and it's going to work out great, I think. All right, boys and girls, looks like we have reached the moment of truth. Will it turn on or not? Hey, there we go. Yes. All right, very cool. Very cool. Well, I don't know how to operate it, but we'll work on that later. So, success. Well, after getting everything installed, I've discovered that the mic cord's going to be just a little bit short for where I want to mount the microphone. So I said I wouldn't be using the extension, but it looks like it's going to come in really handy. I think we should be able to work the mic extension wire up underneath the console like we did the power wires to the head unit, and just bring it out a little bit closer to the dash. That should rectify the problem. So I think we're ready to go ahead and button everything up. What we need to do is go ahead and remember to reconnect that seat connector, and then let's go ahead and put the seat back in and put the bolts back in, and I think we're in pretty good shape. All that's left to do now is to mount the microphone mount, and we're going to be golden. Okay, so I decided I want to mount the microphone on the dash, and I already have this really nice Vector off-road utility bar that's mounted in the Jeep. And I think I want to go ahead and put it right here where I have a mount that I use for my Garmin InReach, but I'm going to move it somewhere else, and I think that'll make a great place to mount the microphone. And we'll just have it right there. It'll be within easy reach and should work real well. All right, to mount the microphone, I ordered from Ram Mounts this really, what I thought was really cool microphone mount, but the only thing about it is you have to push this in to get the microphone in and to release it, and I'm not really sure that that's going to be all that convenient. So I'm going to try it, but if I don't like it, I think what I may end up doing is, this is the one that came with the Midland radio, and it's got adhesive on the back. I think I may just go ahead and stick it on there and hope for the best. So I'll try the other one, but if it's too big a pain, I'm going to just do it like this. Well, I kind of had this decision made for me. The little bolts that they sent to mount this on here there's something wrong with them. I don't know, the threads are messed up or whatever. So today I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to use the adhesive strip, mount this on, and call it good. I'll go ahead and see if I can't find some other little bolts and nuts that'll work with that. I'll give it a fair shake. I'll give it a try, but I think I'm going to like this a whole lot better. All right, so there we go. Kind of a hybrid mount using the ram mount swivel and the clip that was sent with the radio. I think it's going to work really well. Assuming the adhesive doesn't give out, which I don't think it will. I think it's going to be really convenient and work very well. So there you have it, the Midland MXT 275 GMRS radio. Not a bad looking install, if I do say so myself. Well, we got it done. May not have been quite as easy as I thought it was going to be, but nonetheless, it works and it looks pretty darn good. So if you got anything at all out of this video, whether it was instructional or perhaps maybe even inspirational, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And I'd love for you to come along with me on some of my other adventures, whether it be overlanding or other installs in the Jeep. So please subscribe to my channel. In the meantime, this is Dell with Kit and Gear, signing off.